You're listening to the Love Over Addiction podcast. Hey, it's Michelle, creator and founder of Love Over Addiction, a community of amazing women from all over the world who love someone suffering from addiction. And today we are in the middle of a series where we're talking about several helpful tips that are specifically designed just for you, not the one you love, about how to find our happiness and joy whether our loved ones get sober or not. And for those of you that are new, because we are getting hundreds of new ladies coming in every day, this is something we believe in. We do not believe in waiting around for somebody to get sober for us to start to feel better. Why? Because that is handing over our power. That is making us feel helpless and perhaps sorry for ourselves and maybe victims or martyrs. And we are none of those. We are strong, courageous women who were very capable before loving somebody suffering from addiction, and nothing has changed. We are as capable or more capable of creating that life that we love with them in it, and sometimes without them in it. There's no judgment in our community ever. Leave, stay, the decision is up to you. You're never going to hear me to tell you do one or the other. What I'm going to do, and my entire purpose and why I've been doing this for 9 years, is to empower you, to help you understand how capable, how strong, how loving, and how wonderful you are. I want to be that voice that is louder than the voice of addiction inside of your head telling you that this future of yours, it can be beautiful. It can be better than anything you can ever think of, anything you've ever imagined. It can be everything you've always wanted. But because I am your friend and I am your sister, I am going to be real with you. And I'm going to tell you, sister, you cannot get there without doing work. There's no shortcut. There's no easy way out. There's no waiting around. This is work. This is your opportunity in your life to be called and to step into something, someone that you have been destined to become. Addiction is the greatest thing that can ever happen to you. This is an opportunity. And I know and I believe in you that you can do the work that you are called to do. And in our community and on this podcast, I'm going to teach you exactly what to do, because I don't believe in a lot of self-help fluff. I don't believe in a lot of us just sitting around a circle feeling sorry for ourselves, sharing our stories. I believe in walking, well, not physically walking away, but metaphorically. Anytime that you listen to me, whether it's in our programs or it's on this podcast, my goal is for you to walk away feeling empowered, feeling capable, feeling slightly more confident than when you started listening to me, and also knowing exactly what to do. Tangible, real-life things, not a bunch of fluff. So with all that said, let's get into our latest tip. And this is probably the trendiest tip that I'm going to share with you in this series. It's called SelfCare. Now, I am aware some of you are going to be rolling your eyes right now, because who the heck isn't talking about self-care right now, particularly if you have a social media account on Instagram. But here's the deal. The truth about self-care is that it looks different for everyone. Self-care is something that you and I have been neglecting for a very long time because we're putting all of our care and our thought and our effort and our energies into getting the one we love sober, into helping them or trying to teach them what their disease is doing to us. And that is not cool. It's not okay. And we are going to stop doing that. Instead of using that energy and placing it outside of ourselves, we are going to reserve that energy for ourselves. We are going to hold that energy and use it for us, for our healing and for our growth and for our self-improvement. So self-care can look like the typical things that everyone's talking about. It can look like a bubble bath at night, which it does for me. And I know that, people make fun of people that say that, but that is true for me. A bubble bath and 20 minutes of alone time where I lock the door to my bathroom and I don't let my kids in, that is something I look forward to throughout the day. It does it for me. When I know that I am stressed, I can give myself that reprieve at the end of the evening, and I know that I have something to look forward to. Here's the other thing. It could look like walking around the block or walking around with a friend. There was a season in my life where I chose one friend and we went for a quick, brisk walk, 20 minutes every morning. We met up before the kids got up for bed and we went on a quick walk, and it just invigorated me. It was something I could look forward to, and it really bonded me and this particular friend. And we didn't have to have huge, long lunches or super long walks because we were caught up to date with everything because we saw each other so often. So it could look like a walk with a friend or a walk with a dog. It could be you walking around the neighborhood with a pair of earbuds, listening to one of our programs. There's other ways that you can do self-care. If you're a gardener, if you used to garden, if you want to learn how to garden, if you've always been interested in growing your own vegetables, or I know a lot of people buy chickens to lay their own eggs. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Jennifer Garner's Instagram account. If you have not, she's adorable and she has chickens. I myself am not quite interested in that, but I love watching people who do. I think it's precious. So maybe that's your thing. Baking and cooking, does it for me too. Taking on a Sunday night and mapping out my menu, knowing that I'm feeding my family healthy foods and preparing the foods with love. I usually put on some music or put on a documentary on Netflix, and I get all my ingredients out and spend an hour and a half cooking. And usually a kid or my husband comes home from work or school and sits at the counter with me and shares with me about their day. That, to me, delivering those, 7 or 8 plates of food every evening is a way that I care for myself, because my kids love my cooking and so does my husband, and they usually make a pretty big deal about it, which makes me feel great too. Another example of self-care, you guys, is working out. I don't particularly love working out. I don't make that a secret. I'm not some girl. I don't get it. I wish I had that gene. But there are some women I know who love working out and feel lazy when they don't work out. I am not of that camp. I totally feel completely fine if I don't work out at all. But I have to do it because I don't know about you guys, but when I am done with the workout and I'm sweating, that gross sweat, I feel so stinking good. No pun intended there, right? I feel really good. And so after my workout, I normally take 5 to 10 minutes to grab a glass of water. I usually work out at home and just congratulate myself. I'm so proud of myself. My husband does the same thing. He has one of those bikes, with the video on it. anyways, it starts with a P, Pentalon or I don't know. And he does this bike, and afterwards, when he's done, he's sweaty and gross, and he'll walk over to every member of the family and start a conversation with them because he wants everyone to know that he's worked out. Like, he's so proud of himself. I know that's why he does it. He doesn't know that's why he does it, but I know that. And so for me, even though I wouldn't necessarily say by any stretch of the imagination, I enjoy the 30 or 60 minutes that I'm working out, I know the feeling of gratitude afterwards, and that is a form of self-care. I also love how my body looks and feels when I am strong, when I'm physically strong. I love knowing and seeing like my muscles toned, and I love just knowing, like, it sounds ridiculous, but like if there was an emergency, like I imagine like if my kid was stuck under a rock or something, like I could move the rock if I needed to. So there's some sense of empowerment that comes from physically being strong as well as mentally. So that is a form of self-care for me. Another form of self-care for me is hiking and getting out in nature. I love trees. I love water. I love walking if there's like a forest. I love listening to the birds and listening to the crunch of the leaves when, my foot steps over them. I love seeing spider webs, not anywhere near me, but like off in the distance. I love being in nature. There's something incredibly soothing about that. So I live in Florida, and there's not a lot of hiking and not a lot of woods where I live because I live in Tampa. But my neighbor that lives on the other side of me is a gardener, and she's grown these beautiful bushes and trees that are super colorful. And so like just this morning, before anybody else was up, I grabbed a cup of coffee and I sat at the kitchen table and I just stared at her trees and her leaves. And it just brought me a couple moments, just joy and complete gratitude for my neighbor and for her gardening, because that is not a skill I possess. So think about ways that you can bring little moments of joy or victories into your life. And self-care can be something they can be easy practices like sitting at a table with a coffee, or your form of self-care might require discipline. It might require you to do something challenging mentally or physically, but you know that the reward is going to be huge. But either way, I used the word discipline a moment ago, and I think that when you are experiencing trauma, when you are experiencing chaos and dysfunction in your life, which comes hand in hand with loving someone suffering from addiction. It's crazy making, right? When you're going through those difficult moments, the chaos and the dysfunction can feel so urgent and so distracting that it can be very easy to put your self-care practice to the side. And so having the discipline, being a disciplined woman, is a sign of maturity. It's a sign of growth. Think about it. The most successful women you can think of, the happiest women, the women who have really contributed to the world in an effective way and to her family, most likely they are incredibly disciplined women. Authors have to be incredibly disciplined. Employees, any line of work, or even parents need to be disciplined about the attention that they give their children or the consequences they give their children. So discipline is a life skill that every one of us needs to learn. One more thing that I just thought of, another form of self-care can actually be eating right. Like when you're doing that meal planning and when you're cooking, Part of what makes me feel good is that I know I'm putting nourishing food into my children's mouths. I'm paying attention to what vitamins I'm offering them or what nutrients I'm providing them. And oh, by the way, they might not always enjoy it. I don't care. I've got too many mouths to feed. You don't like it, you're still eating it. Most of it's organic. I've paid, quite a bit of money for it, and it's good for you. And so you're going to sit at this table and you're going to finish this food, and I will sit with you. We can talk all day long if we need to. But you are going to finish this food, and that's my policy for my kids. And that's the policy for myself that I try very hard to live by, which is having discipline 80% of the time with caring for my body and what I put into it. That is a practice of self-care that I started using after my divorce, because during my divorce and during my marriage, I had gained a tremendous amount of weight and was considered obese. I think, I'm not sure if technically I was or not, but it was not great. So consider that as well. What areas in your life have you been neglecting? And what areas in your life do you need to practice discipline with self-care that you can really bring yourself back to life, where you can really resurrect that part of you that's been crying out, that needs attention, that deserves to be fed, that deserves to be nurtured and cared for. Make a list today. This is your homework, guys. Make a list of 10 things. They can be simple or they can be huge. 10 things that you would like to do and pick one every day. Definitely don't do 10, because then you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to quit. But do one form, one practice of self-care every day. And that is, in order to do that, you're going to be disciplined. And I promise, if you put this practice into place, you're going to feel more in control of your life. The attention of addiction will grow smaller, and the attention to yourself will grow larger. You will be a happier and healthier person, and you're not going to wake up dreading the day, because you know you're going to give yourself one practice of self-care every day that you can look forward to. I can't wait to hear what your practices of self-care are in our secret Facebook group, and I will talk to you guys later.
Hi, it's Jo, and if you're loving this podcast, we'd love it if you can leave us a rating and review on iTunes, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And this month we're featuring a new guide sheet all about dreaming. And dreaming may sound a little strange right now, but it will all make sense once you see the guide sheet. You can get yours for free by going to loveoveraddiction.com/August. Lastly, if you're ready to learn more about how to handle this disease, especially during a crisis, you can go to loveoveraddiction.com/LOA. This podcast is created for your support, encouragement, and entertainment, with Michelle's personal thoughts and beliefs. From one woman to another, all bonded together by the fact we love someone suffering from addiction. This is not intended as a substitute for therapy or advice from a professional.